This is something that will have a lot of you interested. At £145,000 in Lewisham, which is
failed to sell, was available at X, but it sold for £550,000. So who's interested?
I think it's an ugly CGI. I think it's a really ugly CGI.
And little things like that, they're going, look what we've done in a short period of time. You know?
I think it's an opportunity.
I need to optimise this for what I want to do with it.
I think it's quite reasonably priced.
But just as it is, I just feel like it's going to have a limited type of niche buyer that's going to be wanting to buy that.
And this is only one half of the deal that we're looking at.
I think we'll get some of our listeners that will be interested in this or have seen this before. So this is something that will have a lot of you interested. It is a parcel of land that has a planning permission for a 3-bed house. To me, it looks like a granny annex. To other people, it looks like a nice house. Tell us what you think about this one. But this is something that's guided at £145,000 in Lewisham, which is a really, really prime area in southeast London. And generally speaking, you're not really going to find freehold houses for sale there for less than £500,000. So it's got value. It's something that we discuss in terms of what do you do with it? How do you optimize it if you are going to? And the person that bought next door has sold this off. So they're clearly doing something from a development next door as well. But tell us what you think about this and tell us what you think you would pay for it as well.
So we're on the hunt, as we always are, and this time we are in Lewisham. But for Lewisham, how much can you buy a property for? A 3-bedroom house, 4-bedroom house? Can you buy one for £145,000? Well, here you can buy a plot of land that has planning permission for a 3-bedroom house. The CGI looks wonderful for anyone who's going to click on the link and check it out. But I picked this one up because last year, it must have been June, July, we saw the property next door to this semi-detached house arranged as 6 rooms. That came to auction in the summer, came back to auction again twice in September. I think it was Savills who had the auction twice in 1 month there. Failed to sell, was available at X, but it sold for £550,000. So who wants to kick this one off? Who's interested? Who likes it?
I'm so disappointed with the architect on this one. He only went for 2-storey house when quite clearly it's right next to a 3-storey house. So I think he was a bit chicken on this one. And I think he could have easily gone for a 4-bed house with 1 more story. But yeah, quite disappointed with that. But other than that, I'm not really... I imagine there's good demand for this kind of product in the area. So I think it's definitely of interest.
I think this house would have been in a conservation area and there probably could be some issues around that. But like I agree, I think it's like you probably could squeeze more from this development. But then at the same time, like would something sell for way more money if you had more floors? Because I think you already have a 3-bedroom house there. And I think that's pretty much maximum you can get from this site. Unless you would go for like 2 flats, like that's possibly the way to squeeze more money. But I think if you build a bigger house, there isn't that much more money and there would be much more cost. And I think they just went for the easiest route to the market.
They went for the path of least resistance, didn't they?
Yeah. But I think like what's good about buying things like this is like obviously they bought a house and a site. They went for the path of least resistance for getting this. And now you got planning of this house and you can buy it and then actually go for planning again. And it's so much easier to get enhanced planning the second time around than to, like basically pioneer the site and be the Christopher Columbus of Lewisham.
So I don't know what Lewisham planning department is like, but you hear the horror stories from everyone else around the country. Planning takes ages, blah, 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 this, that and the other. They bought this in September of last year and they have planning. That's quick. No, I feel like I've missed something. They've gone the path of least resistance. Okay, we can respect that or not. But the fact that these are clearly specialists, probably in the area, probably on infill sites like these, the price doesn't seem horrendous at 140 as a guide, just for the land. So they've clearly employed their skill and expertise, delivered planning permission for someone to build out the project. I think it's smart. I think if you're buying, what that house is worth at auction, if they bought it for 550. They bought the house with the site. They then transformed it by saying, well, let's just ignore the house for a minute. Let's deal with this site. I think it's a smart way of looking at an auction purchase. Bear in mind, it went unsold in June, July. It went unsold twice in September. They bought it for under what the seller originally wanted, the 650 or whatever. And they've turned it into this. And this is only one half of the deal that we're looking at here. This is just a little development site. We don't know what they're going to do with the house. Maybe they're going to go in and just do a complete refurb and stick it on the open market. And I think vaguely we remember there being some kind of issue with it.
Some issues around being like converting this into an HMO. Like, I don't think you can convert it into an HMO.
Yeah, so single dwelling family home there.
Maybe flats.
Or flats. I think if it's done properly in Lewisham, in that area, I think it will. I think they've done well. So this is almost us looking at someone who's on the way to a success story from something they bought out of auction.
I think it's an ugly CGI. I think it's a really ugly CGI, and I think this is the problem when sometimes if you're not a trader and you're a craftsman at your own kind of thing. So being an architect, they kind of thought with the architect's hat on. If this was me, I'd be doing is putting a CGI that mirrors next door up, putting a planning application in, whether it comes out or not, and sticking it straight back into auction with a £50,000 guide price, and letting the kind of price find itself. But that would represent a much better opportunity to someone, because someone will then look at what is the value of that house next door versus what is the value of a 3-bed flat roof. I don't know what you want to call that, granny annex. That granny annex is probably the best way.
Yeah, I think we forget that's definitely a flat roof. So it's not one that Natalie's going to pick up. But I mean, some of the things with stuff like this is, again, a little bit entrepreneurial. On that CGI, they put their own business logo on there. You know, I little things like that. They're going, look what we've done in a short period of time. You know, I like that. I think agree.
I'm surprised they let them leave the watermark on that as an auctioneer, to be fair. But look, you know, if you're the architect on this, if you're listening, Natalie's not happy with you. That's all I've got to say. You know.
Don't do that. Don't do that. She was so underwhelmed, and you think that the design is terrible. Let's not put it all on Natalie's door.
But my point is, being a trader, so they had the architect's hat on, which is I need to go for planning of something I'm going to actually get and then try and sell it. And when I think about it, I'm thinking you need to represent what it could look like and put something in, whether you get it or not is another thing, to allow people that hope value to kind of look at things. But look, I've bought land with planning before from auction. Most of the time when you see it, it's not actually fit for purpose. You have to go back in and do the discharge. You have to change things. Yet there's always a material consideration. And I've also sold things with either planning in place or proposed planning. And I feel like anyone that's buying something that is serious, that's buying something with planning or proposed planning, needs to always think, I need to optimize this for what I want to do with it. Because the plans that they've always put in is not the plans that are practical or necessarily the most cost effective to deliver.
I think a point that you made is, now looking at it, it does look like almost like a granny annex kind of thing. What they should have done is they should have made it like a coach house style development, right? Where it could have been a peaked roof. It would have looked a little bit more attractive and probably in keeping with the area. But we're not the architects. We didn't get the planning through in 9 months.
I think it's an opportunity. Like they really did 80% of the job. Now it's about coming in and doing the remaining 20. But they did the 80% that delivers most of the value, and now it's time to optimize it and do something that actually is going to fit the end user.
But pricing wise, it seems quite reasonable at the guide. If you look, next door has got maybe 4 bedrooms, we were thinking, and that's at 580. So this one with 3 bedrooms, let's say you're looking at about 450, 500. So, you know, if you look at the land value with planning at about a third of that, 25% to a third of that, I think it's quite reasonably priced.
Yeah, I think this property is around 750 done up. Like,
what, the granny annex?
Yeah.
Wow.
100%. Yeah. It's like, this is Lewisham.
More so than the next door house. That's
well, the
bigger.
next door house was in a bad condition.
Okay.
Like, it needed refurb. And I think... it's a 750 house as well. I believe
I can't see that being worth more than 500. I thought 500 is like top end, just for what it is. Look, it's actually a good area. You're absolutely right, and I'm with you on that. And
Good transport links.
And it's difficult to find good freehold new build houses, right, at the right money, where it's an independent person either doing up or a self build, because you get all the big developers. I just feel like if that house mirrored next door, 100%, and it was a new build and looked anything close to that, 750 all day long. But just as it is, I just feel like it's going to have a limited type of niche buyer that's going to be wanting to buy that. But look, I think the guide is definitely attractive. 100% think it's going to sell. I think it could end up selling for 200 to 220 personally.
Right. I think 250.
Okay. Natalie?
Wow.
I suggested it and I don't think it's going to sell for that.
I'm going 180, 190.
Okay.
Yeah.
Jay?
I think you're just saying this because like you
don't
didn't
like
think
it.
it was sell, but now he said it's going to sell.
I think maybe 190 at a push.
Okay.
But you said you didn't want it wasn't going to sell, no?
No, that's the previous property.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
180,
Go back to
190.
the rewind. Let's do a VAR here.
Penalty.
Brilliant. But look, I mean, I think we'll get some of our listeners that will be interested in this or have seen this before, because we get a lot of listeners in that kind of southeast London corridor picking stuff up. So yeah, if you are looking at this, what are you looking to do with it? What would you pay for it if you're not going to be buying it? And most of all, if you are going to be picking this up, what are you going to do with it? That's the most important thing.
And tell us if we're completely wrong with the values, because it's possible.
Absolutely. All right, so results are in on the land in Lewisham, and it actually sold for £179,000. So, I think personally it's a good price for the property. It could have gone for a bit more on a really good day, but generally for what they've done with the CGI, etc., I think 179,000 for an extra piece of land on what looked like a granny annex is pretty good. But yeah, tell us what you guys think. Who do you think would buy something like this? Is it a developer? Is it another trader that's maybe trying to speculate? Is it maybe an investor that's looking just to buy this and hold it? So tell us what you guys think, and tell us what you guys think it would have sold for as well. But 179,000, I think, is a very good price for this.